children, this is Roshni from LearnoHub, the free learning platform where you can learn maths, science, social science, tips and tricks absolutely for free at learnohub.com. So welcome to the fifth video and the last video of the video series on why do we fall ill class 9th science. And in this video, we are going to talk about treatment and prevention of diseases, where we will also talk about vaccination, and last but not the least, we will also take up few questions just to understand that whatever concepts we have learned over the last 5 videos, whether we got them right or not. I would again request you to watch this entire playlist to understand this lesson on why do we fall ill completely. The link to the playlist is given in the description. Okay, so let's get back to this video and let's get started.
So basically there are two principles which are followed to treat an infectious disease. First one is reduce the effects. Effects means whenever a disease happens, as I mentioned, as soon as there is an infection inside your body, inflammation will occur. That means the cells of the body will start fighting back. So as a result, you will get some symptoms like fever, pain and swelling, right? So the first thing is, the one way to treat is to reduce these effects. You can take medicines which can reduce this pain or which can reduce the fever, or you can take some rest to conserve some more energy, because if you conserve some more energy, your immune system can utilize that energy to fight back with more strength, right? So you can do all these things, support your immune system, right? So that is one way of treating it. The other way of treating it is kill the cause. So in the first case, you would have seen that sometimes you have headache and you take a painkiller and the pain goes off, and after some time you feel perfectly fine. That's because, firstly, since you took a painkiller, so your pain went off. But the cause which actually created that pain, you didn't do anything to that cause. So what is happening? That pain is because the cells inside your body is actually fighting with the cause of that pain. Now as a result, you take painkiller, the pain goes off. After some time, you don't have any problem because your immune system has won the fight. That is why you did not suffer from any disease. But sometimes it also happens that even though you took a painkiller, after some time, you again feel the same pain. That's because even still then the fight is going on. And maybe if the immune system gets defeated, then you end up suffering with some disease, right? The second one is kill the cause. You do not do anything with the pain and all, you directly hit the microbes which are causing that disease. So one example is when you take antibiotics, what happens? Those antibiotics actually go and they kill the microbes. So when it is a bacterial infection, you take an antibiotic, so which will directly kill the bacteria. Similarly, if it is an infection due to some other microbe, you have specific medicines for that. So the doctors will know about the detail of those medicines which are specific to each microbe, and they will prescribe you those medicines which can kill the microbe. So in this case, you are actually killing the cause. And that is how you are treating the disease. So these are the two principles of treatment which are followed to treat an infectious disease. Right? Okay. So that was all about treatment of a disease. Now what about prevention of a disease? We all know the proverb, right? Prevention is better than cure. Why is prevention better than cure? That's because when you get a disease, the first thing is that you have to suffer that disease. The sufferer will have a bad time when he is suffering from that disease. He will remain bedridden, he will not have energy, he will not feel like doing anything, right? So it is a bad time for the patient. At the same time, the disease can have, if it is a major disease like typhoid or tuberculosis or things like that, so even if the disease is cured, the patient will remain weak for a very long time. So he will take a very long time to come back to a healthy state. Sometimes they do not even come back to a very good health, right? So there are some major setbacks. And last but not the least is that a person who is suffering from a disease can become a source of infection for many other person. Suppose if one person is suffering from typhoid, there is a good amount of possibility that he can spread the disease to many other persons. So that is why it is always better to prevent diseases. Now, what are the principles to prevent diseases? How can we prevent infectious diseases? Now again, there are two ways of preventing diseases. One is a general way of preventing disease. That means any kind of infectious diseases can be prevented. And the next one is specific ways of prevention. That means these ways of prevention are very specific to a particular disease. So since it is very specific to a disease, so they are called specific ways of prevention. The first one, they are general to all infectious diseases, so they are called general ways of prevention. Now, when we talk about the general ways of prevention, the first thing is prevent exposure to microbes. That means try to avoid ways by which microbes can enter your body. Now, how can you prevent these? You can prevent the exposure to microbes only when you know how microbes can enter your body. So while we were discussing about the means of spread, we talked about the ways how microbes can enter your body. It can enter your body by direct contact with somebody, by through air, through water. So what all can you do? Avoid overcrowded living conditions. So if it is overcrowded, that means there are too many people living in a small area. Now when there are 10 people living in a very small area, if one of them gets cold and he starts sneezing or coughing, what will happen? There will be high chances that you will get that disease because it is overcrowded. And as I mentioned in that slide, that when a person sneezes, the area around him, even up to a distance of 4 meters, it is all infected, right? So if you live in a very overcrowded area, there is a good amount of possibility that microbes will enter your body. So you should avoid overcrowded living conditions. Clean drinking water. Needless to say that you should take care of water, because water is again a means of spread for many severe diseases. Public as well as individual hygiene. This also I mentioned in the very first slide, because if you maintain cleanliness in your locality, if you maintain cleanliness in your life, it will prevent microbes. Because when these mosquitoes which causes these diseases like malaria or kala azar, they generally breed in stagnant water. So if you keep if you store water at a particular place for a very long time, you will see insects, flies and mosquitoes coming there, right? So you should prevent all such things. The next thing is proper nourishment and food to keep the immune system strong enough. That means you should take proper food so that you remain healthy. Healthy means you should have a strong immune system, because if your immune system is strong, there is a good possibility that you will not get diseases very often. Because every time there is an infection, your immune system is strong, so the immune system will always win the fight between the microbes and your body. So when your immune system wins, you do not get any disease. So always try to get proper nourishment and proper food. Try to do some exercises and yoga, because all these things actually help you to build a strong immune system. Right? So now let us look at the specific ways of prevention. How can we prevent some specific diseases? So one of the most important ways is vaccination. So we will talk about vaccination in the next few slides. What is vaccination actually? Let us now try to see what is vaccination. You all would have often heard people that they take small kids to the vaccination centers where they give them vaccines. Not only kids, even for adults, we often hear that a vaccination has come up against cervical cancer, or a vaccination has come up against polio, tetanus, measles, right? So there are vaccines specific to a particular disease. So it is like if you take that vaccine, you will not get that disease in your life, right? So you will get rid of that disease by being vaccinated, right? So what actually is vaccination? What actually is given to your body that makes the body not get the disease again? So it was in 1700s when the scientist Edward Jenner, he observed that a person suffering from cowpox did not get it again. You all would have been familiar with chicken-pox. These days normally people get chicken-pox, right? You get blisters all over your body and it takes a lot of time to heal, and then gradually the blisters dry off and are shedded from your body, right? You also get fever, and lot of weakness are also accompanied with it, right? So similarly, there was a disease called smallpox in earlier days, and it was a very deadly disease, and it was found that whenever this disease happened to somebody, in many of the cases people die. Sometimes it was quite severe, and people were always afraid because it was an infectious disease. It easily transferred from one person to another, so people were afraid to go near that person. So sometimes it also happened that people were afraid even to take care of that person. But at the same time, it was seen that somebody who got smallpox again did not get smallpox in his later life, right? So it happened only once in a lifetime. It was an observation, right? So this scientist Edward Jenner, he observed that cowpox, so that was also kind of pox which were generally seen, which generally came from cows. So it was generally seen in the cowboys and people who took care of the cattle. So he saw that people who had cowpox was less severe than smallpox. In fact, it was very less severe when compared to smallpox, right? So it was Jenner's observation that a person who had suffered from cowpox once, he never got cowpox, neither he got smallpox ever in his life. So that sounded quite interesting and convincing to Jenner. So he did an experiment. He experimented with a cowboy. He gave him a cowpox vaccine. So what is a vaccine actually? Now, what is vaccination? It is a process in which vaccine is given to improve the immunity of the body against a specific disease. So a body will get a disease or not is all about immunity of the body. So in vaccination, what do you do? You actually either give injections or you give some drops of vaccine. So it is a medicine which is given to the body. It is not actually medicine. What is vaccine? I'll tell you later. So this vaccine is given so that the body's immunity increases against a specific disease. So if the immunity increases, then whenever the disease will attack the body, the immunity will win and the person will not get that disease. So that is the logic. Now the question is, what is there in that vaccine which helps to improve the immunity? So vaccine is a biological preparation that resembles a disease. It is like, let us take the example of smallpox, right? Not smallpox. Let me first complete the story of Edward Jenner, right? So as I was telling, what he experimented, he gave cowpox vaccine to a cowboy. So what was that cowpox vaccine? It was a sample of the microbe which causes cowpox. Now cowpox is also caused by a microbe. So a sample of that microbe, maybe a very weak microbe or a dead microbe, but which is a similar microbe which causes a cowpox, that kind of microbe is injected inside the body of that cowboy. Now what happens? The immune system sees that microbe for the first time, right? So the immune system tries to fight back. Now since this, in the vaccine, the microbe which is given, it is a very weak microbe or a dead microbe, therefore it does not harm the body too much. So the immune system is able to manage that vaccine. But at the same time, the immune system recognizes that microbe. So the next time it attacks the body again, so the now immune system knows that this microbe can cause this. So he knows the opponent's strength. So now the immune system attacks with greater strength, and as a result the immune system wins. So did you understand it? Let us suppose if there is a fight between you and your enemy. So the first time when the enemy attacks you, you don't have any idea about the strength of the enemy, right? So there is a possibility that you might get defeated. But the next time when the same enemy comes and attacks you, you know the strength of the enemy. So that is why you will fight back with greater strength and you win. So that is why people who suffers from smallpox or cowpox once, they never got it again in their lifetime, because the first time they suffered it, their immune system recognized that microbe. So the next time when the microbe attacked, the immune system fought back with greater strength, and as a result, the immune system won the fight and the body did not suffer from the disease. right? So using the same logic, Edward Jenner prepared a sample which will resemble a microbe that caused the disease, but at the same time he made it of dead or very weak microbes, because if he puts strong microbes in the vaccine, then what will happen, the vaccine itself might affect the body, right? So he used very weak microbes or dead microbes. So in that case, the vaccine did not have much adverse effect on the body, but at the same time the immune system get to recognize that microbe, so that next time the microbe comes and tries to attack the body, the immune system is definitely going to win. So this is the concept of vaccination. And Edward Jenner experimented with that cowboy, and it was found that he never suffered from smallpox. So what did he observe? He concluded that a cowpox vaccine was good to not to suffer from smallpox. So that cowpox vaccine was given to everybody so that they do not get smallpox. And gradually this disease smallpox was completely eradicated. These days we do not see people getting this disease called smallpox, right? So this was the first time that vaccination came into picture. Now, following smallpox, scientists started finding out vaccines for many other deadly diseases like tetanus, measles, polio. So there are so many vaccines available, right? So these vaccines, if you take it, the body's immunity gets prepared for that specific disease, and that is why the body does not get that disease again. So I hope I have been able to explain you what is vaccination, right? Okay. So the success of vaccination. The success came with the eradication of smallpox. Smallpox was completely eradicated with this vaccine, and that is where the vaccination became a big hit. Many other diseases like polio, tetanus, measles have also been reduced to a large extent, because even now we see people suffering from polio. That is also because of negligence of parents to some extent, because when a child is born, you will see that in TV also you'll get advertisements, right, that this is the polio day when you should come and get your child the polio vaccine. Now it is your responsibility to take your child and get the polio vaccine, right? Now if you do not get the vaccines, then there is a chance that he might be affected by these kind of diseases, right? So these vaccines, but it has definitely reduced these diseases to a very large extent. So that is how vaccination became a big success. So even now scientists are working on trying to get vaccines for many other diseases. Like recently they found out a vaccination for cervical cancer, because cervical cancer was becoming very common amongst women these days. So they found out a vaccine against that. Effective vaccination. Now, does it mean that if somebody takes vaccine against a particular disease, is it that 100% he will not get that disease? So how much effective is vaccination? Now again it depends. Now effectiveness of vaccines varies with the type of disease. For example, if we talk about smallpox, the effectiveness was 100% because smallpox was completely eradicated. There was not even a single person who was vaccinated and still he got smallpox. So there the effectiveness was 100%. But there are diseases where the effectiveness is not 100%. There lies a possibility where you were vaccinated but still you got the disease. But then again, that also depends on many factors. For example, for older people, larger doses are required because for older people, their immune system is less stronger as compared to younger people, right? So already their immune system is not very strong. So in order to make the immune system more strong, you need to give more dosage of the vaccine. So the dosage of vaccine should be more for older people. Vaccination schedule has to be followed. What do you mean by vaccination schedule? You would have seen that it is not that you just go one day, you take the injection, you come back and it is done. It is not like that. They are for different diseases, depending upon each disease, depending upon the type of vaccine which is given, and depending upon the age group of the patients, you have a vaccination schedule. Maybe they will say that you have to take this injection 3 times at an interval of 6 months. So you have to follow that schedule. Similarly, maybe for some other disease, they might say that you will have to come twice at an interval of 2 months. to get the vaccine. So it is you who has to follow the vaccination schedule, right? So depending upon the type of disease, depending upon your age, and depending upon the type of vaccine which is given, a specific vaccination schedule has to be followed. So if all these things are followed, the possibility or the effectiveness of vaccination increases, right? Now if somebody is 80 years old and he took the same dosage of vaccine as was given to a 5-year-old kid, so in that case, obviously there are chances that even after vaccination he might get a disease, correct? So the effectiveness of vaccination depends upon all these factors. Okay, so with this I will conclude this lesson on diseases, cause of diseases, how can we prevent them and how can we treat them. So now it's time to look at some of the exercises. A first exercise, you will be given a set of options and you have to choose the right option. So under which of the following conditions is a person most likely to fall sick? First, when she is recovering from malaria. Second, when she has recovered from malaria and is taking care of someone suffering from chicken-pox. Third, when she is on a 4-day fast after recovering from malaria and is taking care of someone suffering from chicken-pox. So under which of these conditions you think that the person will fall sick? Okay, if you look at the first option, when she is recovering from malaria, that means she has already suffered a lot from malaria. Now she is in the recovering stage. That means she is getting better day by day, right? So I don't think this is the correct option because she is getting better here. But the question is asking where she will fall even more sick. Next option, she has recovered from malaria and she is taking care of someone suffering from chickenpox. So in this case, the possibility of falling sick is more when compared to the first option. That's because now even though she is recovering, she is getting better day by day, but she is taking care of someone who is suffering from chickenpox, and we know that pox is an infectious disease. That means it can spread from one person to another. So there is a possibility that she might get infected with chickenpox and again fall sick, right? Now let us look at the third option. When she is on a 4-day fast after recovering from malaria and is taking care of someone suffering from chickenpox. So now you look at it. She herself is in the recovering stage where she is getting better day by day. In that period, she needs to take lot of rest. She should eat well to build up her immune system very well. But instead of that, what is she doing? She is on a 4-day fast. So 4 days she is not eating anything. That means her recoverance, what was happening to her, she was recovering, that will also get deteriorated because of her 4-day fast. So she will fall sick because of the 4-day fast. On top of that, she is taking care of somebody suffering from chickenpox. So there will be a good amount of possibility that she will also get infected with chickenpox, right? So third scenario is the one where the possibility is maximum that she will fall sick. Firstly, because she is on fast. So she is not building her body up because she has recently suffered from malaria. So she is already very weak. She should eat more. She should eat healthy, right? Instead of that, she is on fast. On top of that, she is taking care of somebody with chickenpox. So this is the best option, right? Okay, let us look at the next scenario. Under which of the following conditions are you most likely to fall sick? First, when you are taking examinations. Second, when you have traveled by bus and train for 2 days. Third, when your friend is suffering from measles. Okay, so in this case, the first option. Obviously, when you are taking examinations, you are not really happy. You are under tension, you are under stress. How good I'll be able to write, how much will I score, whether I know the answer to this question or not. So you will have that mental pressure, but otherwise, you will not fall sick immediately, right? Maybe after results you might be. Second option, when you have traveled by bus and train for 2 days. So this will be a lot of physical exertion because you are in continuously traveling, you are not getting much rest, but you will not be bedridden immediately. The third one, when your friend is suffering from measles. Now when your friend is suffering from measles, there is a good, measles being a infectious disease which spreads easily from one person to another, there is a good amount of possibility that you will also catch the infection and you will also suffer from measles. So the possibility, the maximum possibility of your falling sick is when your friend is suffering from measles. Now just think of this scenario. We talked so much about diseases, their symptoms and signs, their cure. Let us talk about this scenario. A baby is not able to tell her caretakers that she is sick. What would help us to find out that the baby is sick and what is the sickness? It is a very common scenario, right? Even in your home, you might have some small babies. You will see that they are not able to speak. A baby of 6 months old cannot say that I'm having headache, or the baby cannot say that I'm having stomachache, right? So how would you know that the baby is not well? So what are the symptoms which you generally look for, which tells you that the baby is not well? Maybe when the baby is crying too much. So repeated crying is one thing. The first thing actually, whenever the baby cries too much, you start making inquiry, is everything okay with the baby, right? So when it is crying too much, or maybe when it is vomiting, you gave her something to eat and she's immediately vomited, or she is having loose motions, or maybe there is swelling in any part of the body, maybe her hand is swollen or her throat is swollen, so some kind of swollen or some kind of abnormalities in any part of the body. Or maybe she is rubbing any specific part of the body too much. For example, she is rubbing her eyes badly, so that might indicate that maybe there is some problem in her eyes, right? Or maybe she is rubbing her hand very badly, so that can also give an indication that something might be going wrong with her hand, right? So these are some of the things which we generally look for, or which we generally observe in a baby to make out whether she is fine or not. Now what is the sickness? Now depending upon the symptoms which we see, we can at least guess what kind of sickness it is. For example, if she vomits a lot, we might might say that maybe she's suffering from something like diarrhea. Or if she is vomiting, maybe there is some problem with her digestion. She is not able to digest the food which is given to her, right? So on the basis of the signs and symptoms, we can guess what kind of sickness it is, right?
So children, what do you have to say about this video? If you have a feedback, do not forget to write it in the comment section, because we eagerly wait to read your comments. And if you really liked the video, do not forget to share it with your friends so that your friends can also enjoy learning. So keep learning, keep enjoying, stay safe, stay home and stay healthy. I will meet you all very soon with a new video, with a new topic. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.